Hi there. Welcome to another episode of Loot and Junk Media. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit more casual. I, your host, Will, am not just a funny video guy, but I also do some illustrations. When I'm not doing Loot and Junk Media, I'm doing drawings of stuff, mostly women. Yeah, so I kind of wanted to create a video sort of showcasing some of my favorite art pieces that I created in 2024. I kind of want this video to be an excuse to show off some artwork and maybe rant about some video games that I was playing during that time. Because most of the illustrations that I create are usually inspired by the type of media I'm consuming, whether that be video games, comics, or, movies, TV shows, what have it. So I want to use this video as an excuse to rant about those stuff, as well as show you the inspirations that went behind some of my favorite portfolio pieces I created in 2024. So yeah, I have a stack of illustrations right here. I think about 15, maybe 10 to 15 illustration pieces. So yeah, sit back and why don't we get started with our first illustration. Let's kick this video off with a illustration piece of Rebecca Chambers. Yeah, I made this illustration piece around the time that I had just completed Resident Evil 0 for I think the first time. I had picked up a PlayStation 4 copy of Resident Evil Origins Collection. If anyone asks what my favorite Resident Evil game is, I will just say it's probably the Origins Collection because it contains both the Resident Evil Remake and Resident Evil 0. I have a hard time choosing between these two games, honestly. They're both fantastic games for their own reasons, but they also include things that I just generally love about the series. So yeah, Resident Evil 0, man, that is such a fucking fantastic game. The only issue with Resident Evil 0 I can think of is that they got rid of the security boxes to put all your items in. Usually in Resident Evil games, you have the luxury of putting items you don't need from your inventory into the security box. They got rid of that in 0 for some odd reason, so what you have to do is you just end up dropping a bunch of shit, rather than having the luxury of putting items you don't need into a secure chest. You have to just drop them and then go on exploring and then come back to the room you dropped the items in. It's a hassle. It's stupid. I really do not want a remake of this game. What I do want is they should just report the game, but add like a remaster. How about a remaster of the game? Instead of a remake, they should just remaster the game and have the security boxes be present in the game. That would be kind of cool. We don't need a remake. We don't need to change anything about this game. It's a great game. I like the locations in this game, but I still feel like Resident Evil 1 has the better location to an extent because, yeah, the train sequence in Resident Evil 0 is still my favorite location to explore. I'm not sure why. I just really like exploring small confined spaces. Plus I like train mysteries, I think, so it just adds to this spooky investigation. It's really cool. So yeah, back to the illustration. I was experimenting with more thinner line art and a bit more of a softer rendering style. I feel like I did a really good job with the skin, but her clothes, I kind of feel like I could have done a little bit better with her clothes. So yeah, we have Rebecca looking back at the train full of zombies coming to get her. I regret using kind of like this grainy style in the back with the background. It's hard to see all the zombies and kind of hard to see the environment she's in. So not a fan of that. But yeah, that's Rebecca Chambers. Resident Evil 0, still one of the best Resident Evil games in my opinion. All right, moving on. So yeah, I was playing a lot of Minish Cap during 2024. God damn, Minish Cap, my god, that's such a good game. I've been doing some soul searching with Zelda lately. Legend of Zelda is one of my all-time favorite franchises. I really love the series, but I'm gonna be honest, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, while they're great games, I would say Tears of the Kingdom is the better game. I'm not a huge fan of Breath of the Wild, if I'm gonna be honest. They're good games, but I just feel like they kind of lack what I like about the Zelda series, and so replaying Minish Cap kind of reminded me what I really like about the Zelda series. I like the game structure in Minish Cap. I like how each item actually feels useful. I like how, it's not just a collectathon, it is kind of a collectathon if we're talking about the kinstones, but I'll get to that later. But yeah, I don't know. I miss it when items in the Legend of Zelda series actually felt meaningful. Like you would find items in dungeons that are actually useful for the dungeon or other dungeons or other part of the open world, you know? I mean, mind you, you find items in Tears of the Kingdom, and they're useful in the open world, but it's kind of a collect-a-thon. I don't like that, or it's like you just run around the open world and you're like collecting a bunch of shit and resources. Not even resources, just you collect a bunch of items and then those items break and then you gotta refine those items. I find that to be a hassle. I like meaningful items. I like when the game says, no, this is yours forever, you know? I hate having to refine that fire item just so I could burn something, you know? Like it's annoying. I like having specific items, you know? And so that's what I kind of missed about Zelda. Plus the dungeons. Minish Cap, man, the dungeons were so fucking cool in Minish Cap, but what I really loved about Minish Cap, this has nothing to really do with the entire Zelda series, this is specifically what I love about Minish Cap, was the kin stones, I think that's what they're called. I keep calling them kinship stones. They're either called kinship stones or just kin stones. I think they're kinship stones, actually. Something like that. I'll just quick edit. Yeah. Anyway, what I like about these stones have actual meaning to them and they actually do things other than just, you know, hey, you collect a stone. You kind of connect these kin stones with people around Hyrule, both the castle town and just the, in general, land and world of Hyrule. You can connect it with the little Picori or the miniature people. I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. I think they're called Picoris. I'm a good Zelda fan. I remember shit. Yeah, I totally remember shit. But anyway, you connect these stones with people and you unlock a reward. You know, that reward could be like a new side quest. That reward can be like a generic treasure. That reward can be unlocking a character or unlocking some kind of access point in the world. Something. It does something. It makes the world evolve, if that makes sense, and I like that gameplay style. Yeah, Minish Cap, I really fucking love that game. So yeah, I wanted to show how much I loved these kinship stones by just drawing a pretty attractive pinup girl. I chose the she's the mail lady you can find at the post office, and you can unlock her in a weird way. You can unlock her by combining kinship stones with the male guy in the back, the guy who's stamping away. You can combine kinship stones and they will hire her, and then she will be hired and you can buy newsletters from her. Now, these newsletters are just kind of your generic hints about the open world, about like what you can do with your items, what you should be looking out for. But it's still kind of cool. I would say the reward's not as cool as just the fact that you get to unlock her. The fact that you get to have the world evolve through your actions. I really love shit like that. It was cool. I was still experimenting with more of a softer rendering. The line art was a bit more comic booky. I was also experimenting, I think, with textures on this one. There's a bit of a papery overlay texture on this art piece. But yeah, nothing really too deep to say about the technical skills. I will say though, if you zoom in closely on the guy's backpack over here, there's a little umbrella pin. I was still kind of, thinking a lot about Resident Evil during this time, so you'll probably see a lot of Resident Evil stuff throughout this video. I don't know, Resident Evil is a series I started getting into around 2023, 2024. My God, I felt like I slept on that series way too hard because that is a fucking good series. Moving on. All right, so moving on, we're gonna talk about two pieces. Yeah. Now, I am a huge fan of food, and I have a passion for cooking, right? I have a passion for, learning to cook, cooking different stuff. It's a hobby and passion of mine. And so I've been wanting to really draw food. Like I've been really wanting my subjects to be centered around food and characters with food. So I was kind of inspired by covers of the manga series Food Wars, where you have like pinup character or character holding food. The food's always kind of like the main focus. It's always like in your face. But then, of course the character's looking cool or interacting with the environment or doing something. And so that's kind of what I wanted with these illustration pieces. I wanted, the characters to really have the food being highlighted, but also, given that they're pinup girls, I wanted a little bit more of a seductive style to them, So yeah, on the left we have Lara Croft, on the right we have Zelda. Lara Croft, I can say, is I was experimenting with more cell shading with my rendering style, and for Zelda, I was still kind of trying to do more of a soft rendering style. Both completely different in terms of how I colored them, but pretty similar in how I did the line art. Yeah, Zelda has kind of this seductive, she's bending over, presenting the plate of carbonara, and in the background behind her we see how the carbonara is being made, which it was kind of a little tidbit for me. Carbonara really is just noodles, eggs, and parmesan. I wouldn't say it's easy to make, there's a technique behind it, but the ingredients are really simple. And yeah, so as she's presenting the plate of carbonara, she has little like the heart meters and the stamina meters from Tears of the Kingdom, where when you eat, you gain some sort of effect from the food. Okay, now that is one thing I will say I like about the Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild games, is I like the fact that you can cook. In fact, I will go as far as saying Breath of the Wild is what inspired me to start cooking, because I just loved how fun it looked, and like Link always looked like he was having such a good time. And I like the idea of food being used as sort of like stat boosters or health regenerating items. That was one of the things I loved about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I think that's probably the best thing going forward. I don't know if this is my favorite illustration of 2024, but it's one of them. It's between her and some other illustration I'll show later, but yeah, this is one of my favorites. This was an interesting illustration piece because I'm still trying to get better at foreshortening with characters. Some parts of it I feel like I did an okay job, other parts I'm not too crazy about. Anyway, so moving on to Lara Croft. Can't remember exactly what inspired me to do... Oh, I remember now. So I was just remembered as I was speaking that I don't remember, but I remember. I was trying to find something to make one day, and I was flipping through this Tomb Raider cookbook that I own, and there's a recipe for tomato soup, and I was like, oh, that sounds good. I should make grilled cheese and tomato soup one night. In the recipe book, you have a picture of the tomato soup with like Lara Croft's Arctic jacket, and I like that contrast between hot and cold. So I'm like, why don't we have Lara Croft making or eating some tomato soup wearing her Arctic jacket? Then I thought, why not put her in a bikini? Because it kind of has this fun little idea of like, it's fucking cold out, she's in the Antarctics, but she's wearing a bikini and just an Arctic jacket along with some hot tomato soup and grilled cheese. And that's why I put some snow in the background, you know, really trying to sell the idea of it's very cold out. My favorite thing about this illustration piece, honestly, is the steam lines from her mouth as well as the soup. That was kind of last minute, but it was something that I was like, it makes a lot of sense to do that because she would be in the Antarctics. Her breath would be seen, and so would the steam from the soup. So that was a little bit of a fun idea that I implemented last minute, and I really like it. I really like it. It's a fun idea. She's got a little Triforce belly button ring on her stomach. I will say though, I made her thighs a little bit too thick. I've been having trouble with proportions. I think proportion control is one of my weak points when it comes to drawings like this, so her thighs are just a little bit too thick, in my honest opinion. I do like how she's going pew pew with the grilled cheese. I think that's funny. Little jokes here and there. I'm not someone who's really good at the Tomb Raider games. Tomb Raider series is one of those series where it's like, I'd like to get good. I like to enjoy those games, but holy shit, it can be kind of a difficult task. I'm not really that good at platformers is what I'm saying, so it's been daunting to play Tomb Raider games. I've played the Legends series with Anniversary, Legends, and Underworld. I never got far on those games, and I've played the remastered 1 through 3. Never got far on those games either, because those games are always fucking difficult. They have a lot of cheap difficulty. It's like you fall from like, I don't feel like a really far place, you just fall and you're dead. It's kind of annoying. The remasters are okay, but the controls are just kind of fucking stiff. I don't know, I haven't found a real interesting puzzle in these games that I like. They've been kind of your push statue or push thing and activate door or something like that. Pull lever kind of puzzles. I haven't come across any like puzzles that I was like, oh yeah, this is great. But to be fair, I haven't gotten really far in a lot of Tomb Raider games. I like Lara Croft as a character. I'm just not so crazy about the games. I've read some of the comics. Some of the comics are actually pretty good from, I think they're called from Top Cow. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. I think that's the publisher name. As I'm recording this, I'm not near my bookshelf, so I can't just pull out the Tomb Raider comic. I think it's from Top Cow, but they're not bad. All right, next up is my Snarky She-Hulk series. Now, this was a series that, or should I say it was more of a set. I think originally I was going to create more, but I kind of fell out of love with the idea. I wanted a set of images that were supposed to be like reactionary images to like outrageous things on Twitter or outrageous things on social media. They were reactionary graphics. I had originally also planned to use especially the what the fuck is this shit. I wanted to use her in some of my videos for Lewd and Junk Media, but honestly I just never bothered or, you know, came up with an appropriate time to use them. To an extent, I still kind of want to use the what the fuck is this shit for some of my videos, so it might show up in the future, it might not. Who's to say? But yeah, I was really inspired by just surfing through social media and just like looking at all the hot takes. I wanted something that was a little bit funny and snarky. I think it was WB it was MetaQuest who announced that they were making the Batman Arkham Shadows game. It was gonna be like a VR Batman game. And I remember thinking to myself, WB would rather waste resources to create a meta video game, a fucking VR video game, rather than creating a sequel to Arkham Origins. Like, really? So yeah, that's kind of where the what the fuck is this shit? I think I created the trigger warning because I was worried that when people click on my videos and then they see like the fact that I draw my women kind of busty, kind of thick, I was worried that people were gonna be kind of like outraged about it or something. So I was like, oh, why don't I just put a trigger warning so it warns people, but I also kind of could make light of it, you know, this idea that it's like, you need a trigger warning, kind of. That's kind of was, I think, the joke behind the trigger warning. But, you know, like every joke I make, it sounds funny for like 5 seconds, and then I do the joke, and then I'm like, yeah, I don't care to continue the joke. So I don't think I ever used the trigger warning for anything. Maybe for one of my social media posts, or some of them, or I had it pinned on my social media accounts, maybe. I think that's what I used the trigger warning for one time. I do hope to still use the what the fuck is this shit, though. I think that would be kind of fun to use that one. I don't know if I'll ever continue the Snarky She-Hulk series. Again, this was supposed to be like, there was supposed to be more to this, but I fell out of love with the idea. So I just never continued. But yeah, this is Snarky She-Hulk. I'm pretty proud of it. It's just kind of a fun little look into what happens when I think something is funny and then I realize, it's not that funny. So then I scrap the entire project in general. I hope that made sense. I'm actually having a hard time remembering exactly what the fuck this was supposed to be for. What the fuck is this shit? Meta humor. I also think I just wanted to draw She-Hulk in her Fantastic Four outfit. Guess I needed an excuse to do it. I suppose I didn't really need to. Anyway, moving on, we have some Resident Evil fan art. Dude, they need to bring back that whole Resident Evil voiceover when every time you like play the games. I miss that. That's cool. I like that. Don't know why they got rid of that. But yeah, Resident Evil has just been kind of dominating my brain lately. I never knew I would love Resident Evil just because I don't really care for horror. Like I'm not the biggest horror fan. I really am not. I don't like gory stuff. I'm not a fan of psychological horror. I enjoyed Silent Hill, but I just don't think it's for me. Like, I like the gameplay, but it's just not for me. I'll get more into that later. I have a Silent Hill artwork I want to talk about. I'll get more into that later, but Resident Evil is the perfect example of why I should not discriminate against genres I don't really care for, because Resident Evil, the series, has proven to me that there's more to survival horror than I thought. You know, it's not just jump scares and gore. The fucking puzzles in that series are just fantastic. Code Veronica had some good puzzles. Zero had some good puzzles. The original one had some good puzzles. I kind of wish the remake of 2 had better puzzles. I have not 100% completed the original 2. I've completed the remake, but I just wish the puzzles were a little bit more interesting. To an extent, they have those puzzle boxes in the remake of 2. They have those puzzle boxes. Those are fucking cool. I want one of these stupid things. I don't know what I would use them for. I just want one just for the sake of having a puzzle box. They're fucking cool. It's like, what is this? Is this a real thing? I want one. It's cool. But yeah, so Resident Evil is just a game I've been really digging. I love how you get to explore creepy locations. I love having to solve puzzles for no reason. It's like, who the fuck builds a mansion with just booby traps and puzzles? I'll tell you who, a fucking genius. That's who. If I had money, I would do exactly what Spencer's Mansion did. Minus the booby traps and the, zombies, but I would totally have a mansion with unnecessary puzzles if I had that kind of money. I just love exploring these locations. The train sequence from Zero, still my favorite location. Okay, so I've been kind of debating whether I like the police station more or the Spencer's Mansion. I'm gonna go with Spencer's Mansion just because there's actual puzzles in Spencer's Mansion. But I do like the unnervingness. That's not a word. I like the unnerving atmosphere of the police station in the remake because it's like it was a museum, but then it was turned into a police station. That's actually kind of interesting to me. Plus, I just love this area. It's so cool to explore. It's creepy. Oh, hey, look, it's Mr. X. I didn't even think I would like this type of gameplay where you're being chased by somebody, but I found that I really loved it. Let's talk a little bit more about the illustration before I ramble on about why I love Resident Evil. So yeah, let's start with Jill. Jill Valentine. I just wanted to draw Jill. There's really no deeper meaning. Jesus Christ, that is a gigantic boob. Like, what the fuck was going on there? That's a bit too out of proportion in my opinion. She's gonna have some serious back issues is what I'm saying. It did not start with me wanting to draw Jill. It started with me wanting to just draw a woman eating pizza and holding a pizza box. But as I was drawing, I was like, why not just make this a Resident Evil fan art, Like, just, I don't know, something about it, just like, yeah, I'll just make it Jill Valentine eating pizza. No real deep meaning, just like, yeah, I want it to look like a recognizable character, so rather than just some woman eating pizza, it's like, yeah, I'll just make Jill eat pizza. So yeah, that's where it started, and then I kept thinking, well, how did she get the pizza? It's like, where did the pizza come from? And so I was like, okay, what if she found like a pizza number on an ink ribbon? So yeah, that's what I did. I put an ink ribbon in the background with a Pizza Hut number. Don't know why I specifically chose Pizza Hut. I think I just chose it because it's Pizza Hut. I really loved illustrating this ink ribbon, by the way. I always feel like I hate illustrating objects until I actually start doing object drawings, and then I actually find myself liking them. But yeah, this little fun little quirky ink ribbon object was, I think, my favorite part of the illustration. The one thing I regret about this illustration is I wish I did better toppings than I did olives and mushroom. What the fuck is that about? Olives and mushroom. I get it. I like olives and I like mushrooms, but not alone, You need some bacon, or you need something else to go along with the olives and mushroom. That's just like bland. It's a bland pizza in my opinion. All right, moving on to Claire Redfield. Yeah, so with the Code Veronica video being finished, at least I hope it's finished by the time I'm recording this. I hope it is. Yeah, I think it's in development while I'm recording this, so it might be finished, might not be finished. I'm assuming it's finished, but anyway, if it's finished, with that in mind, during this time, I think I was replaying Resident Evil 2, and I wanted to draw Claire. I think when I drew this, I realized I've actually never drawn Claire. I've drawn Rebecca, I've drawn Jill 1,000 times, but I've never actually drew Claire. Even in like my warm-up sketches, I never drew Claire. So I'm like, why don't I just draw Claire? I will say the proportions are a bit off. Proportion control is something I think I'm struggling with a little bit, or was struggling with. I think I'm getting a little bit better at it. A little bit of a proportion issue as well as a stiff issue. I need to get better at more gesture drawings, Need to have a bit of more of a flow to it. But anyway, yeah, she's got her pistol, she's turning around. Now her outfit is pretty much Code Veronica's outfit combined with her original outfit. For some reason, I don't like her original outfit. I always thought it looked kind of dorky. It's like pink shirt, pink shorts, it looks like a Power Ranger outfit, or something I would imagine a Power Ranger would wear when they're not in their Power Ranger outfit. So I decided to combine Code Veronica's outfit with the style of the original outfit. And I like Code Veronica's outfit, and I kind of like the way I drew it. My favorite part about this, though, besides Claire's asset, is the key in the background. Resident Evil 2's remake, in my honest opinion, has some of the best key designs from the entire series. I might even say it has some of the best key designs I've seen in comparison to other games. I love how simple they are, I love how recognizable they are, and I just love key designs. I love the design. I don't know, I just love finding keys in games since I played Zelda, so I just have a fondness for keys, and I just wanted to draw the keys, honestly. No real deeper meaning, I just wanted to draw the key, and I had so much fun doing it. She's looking back and going, is that Leon? Leon? Is that Leon? It's not Leon, it's a zombie. It's always a zombie. Moving on up. Something. I think we're in the home stretch here. I can't remember. Can't remember how much art I have in this video. I recorded this this video was supposed to be released in December of 2024. And I had recorded all this stuff back in December. I just couldn't find an interesting way to present this video, so I'm thinking I found that style. Hopefully, we'll see how it does. I hope to continue doing more videos like this. Having a roundup of my illustrations just sounds kind of interesting to me, especially if there's a story or if it's video game related, like this illustration of Poison Ivy capturing the Batman in honor of Arkham Asylum, the video game. By in honor of it, I mean this was supposed to be a part of a canceled project that I was working on. I had originally planned to review Arkham Asylum for Halloween, I think. It was supposed to go alongside that Scooby-Doo video. I was working on both videos at the same time. That was my original plan. Dude, I love Arkham Asylum. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Batman game, but it is a damn fine Batman game, and I was going to review it. What happened was, after recording and beating the game, all the footage, I reviewed it, and it was shit. There was a stuttering issue. It didn't record well. There was a stuttering issue. And it made me realize that OBS sucks. No, actually what the problem was I had the priorities of the CPU set wrong or something. Like OBS was using a lot of CPU when recording, so it just created a stuttering issue. It looked fine on the monitor. It looked fine when I looked at it, but upon reviewing the recordings, it was stuttery as fuck. And so I was like, okay, well, there goes hours and hours of work. I just did not have the energy to replay Arkham Asylum and re-record. I was just like, no, I'm just gonna give it up. I'm just gonna trash it. And I did, which sucked because I had created this illustration prior to realizing that all my footage was garbage. So it kind of does suck because, I was really looking forward to having this illustration be a part of that video, But yeah, so the illustration is heavily inspired by Arkham Asylum's artwork that you find in the game. When you level up Batman, there's these black and white illustrations, and they're just so fucking cool. I really do want to get better at black and white illustrations. That's something I love seeing. I love classic inked comics, like John Romita style. J. Scott Campbell has some really good inking. Frank Cho, guys like that. I love that black and white inking style. I'm trying to get really good at it. It takes practice, really. I just gotta practice more, understand shadow and lighting. But yeah, so we have Poison Ivy trapping Batman in her, tentacles, roots. Yeah, I guess that's what we call them, her roots. We have her trapping Batman in her roots. She's all seductive, she's hot. Batman's all looking grouchy because, it's Batman. So yeah, this was supposed to be part of an Arkham video that never went through. But luckily though, I still had a pretty cool art piece to present online. So originally I actually thought I never really liked her prison outfit from Arkham. I mean, I didn't mind it when it first showed up in the first game, but the fact that they kept using it over and over throughout the entire series, I just thought was stupid. And I only thought it was stupid because I actually really like Poison Ivy's green outfits. I think that's my favorite Poison Ivy outfit. So it was kind of disappointing that they kept using the Arkham outfit, even in City and Night. It's like, why is she wearing this outfit again? She doesn't need it. Plus I thought it was kind of too simplistic. I mean, it's a great outfit, for obvious reason. I mean, it was yeah, okay, she's just wearing an orange coat and a grass bikini. But it wasn't until I actually started drawing her in this outfit that I realized it's actually a really cool outfit. So I've seen an action figure of her in the orange outfit, and it's a straitjacket. And I thought that was kind of funny because it's got straps and shit, like she's supposed to be strapped in. What I really liked was the vines around her body. I had a lot of fun drawing the vines around her body. I thought that was super unique, and it adds to sort of that plant humanoid thing that she has going on. It's funny, I usually hate Poison Ivy with green skin. I've always liked her with her normal sort of pale ginger skin because she's a redhead. So I always thought the green skin was like too leathery, too unappealing. But actually, I kind of dig the idea now more as I'm older, because it's like, yeah, it would make sense for her to sort of become a plant. So she would have more plant-like features. So that was what interests me about Poison Ivy's green skin. That sounds weird. All right, so here's my next set. Now these lovely illustrations were used in my Scooby-Doo video. Yeah, Scooby-Dooby-Doo. I'm also using the Fred as the channel's avatar for the profile, only because I'm kind of going through a bit of a rebranding Loot and Junk Media, or trying to redesign the brand, and I don't know what to use for my profile pic. Originally I was using like a soda badge, or I called it the soda badge, but I don't care about the soda badge anymore, so I'm using a generic Fred being a creep just because it's funny. Anyway, so these were 2 illustrations used in my Scooby-Doo video. Of course, we had the night nurse from Silent Hill 2 with James in the background having his pillow of love, because get it, he's gonna suffocate because he's suffocating. Anyway, deeper meaning and symbolism and all that jazz is usually found in Silent Hill, because the night nurses are supposed to represent, deeper meaning. They're supposed to be a symbolism of James's sexual frustration, which in all honesty is just an excuse for them to draw a nurse with big titties. That was literally the excuse, probably. So that was kind of the joke I had here. And so they were using the Scooby-Doo video for, I think I was talking about the night nurses. I can't remember. I mentioned something about big booby nurse. Oh, I remember. I made a joke that if they're going to make a Scooby-Doo game, that they should make it like Silent Hill, minus the big booby nurses. And then Fred pops up with the "that's my fetish," because it's Fred. So one of my favorite memes is that one meme where Fred's all like, "that's my fetish," and he's all smiling while all the other gang in Scooby-Doo gang are all like mortified by what they're seeing, and Fred's all like, "ooh, I like that." That's one of my favorite Scooby-Doo memes. It's one of my favorite memes in general. It's funny because comparing this to the She-Hulk reactionary graphic, I actually used this in comparison. So it was just kind of interesting that I used this over the She-Hulk graphic. It sounded too funny not to put in, so I had to put it in. I do hope to actually use this more, just because it's funny. It's just so, it's one of those things that's like, it's so weird, it's funny. But yeah, these were fun little graphics that I was just kind of toying around with. So what's interesting is that technical wise, the Silent Hill drawing is made with ink. I used, I think, some of my liners. I don't do a lot of inked or physical ink project these days, and I really want to get back into them. I always have so much fun doing them. It's just, I always make so much mistakes that I get nervous doing ink projects, but I just gotta get over that and utilize white paint probably a little bit more. But yeah, so I was talking about Silent Hill 2 earlier. Resident Evil is a perfect example of what I love about the survival horror genre. Silent Hill 2 is a perfect example of what I just don't really care for when it comes to horror. It's not the gore per se that gets me with Silent Hill 2. I do feel though some of the environments are a bit too gooey, and I don't like having to stick my hand in things, even if it's in a video game. So to see James stick his hand inside the gooey holes in the toilets, that's a bit much for me. Plus, once you visit the hospital in Silent Hill 2, I'm talking about the remake, by the way, I've never played the original, but in the hospital scene, they talk about a guy getting bathed in feces. That's a bit much for me, man. That's a bit much for me. Plus, I'm not a really big fan of psychological horror. I don't mind it per se. Some of the themes you have to deal with, you're just like dealing with these characters' trauma, and it's just like, god damn, like what the fuck, Jesus Christ. people. You know, it's a bit much for me to having to sit through dealing with people's trauma. To be fair though, I'm not a fan of trauma dumping in any kind of media, so the stuff just like glosses over my brain. Plus, you know, the whole like James killing his wife, it's hard for me to sympathize with James throughout the entire game, knowing he kills his wife. You're just like, oh well, you piece of shit. But you know, no, see, she wanted to die. It's like, no, James, you're just a dick. You fucking dick. I still think it's a good game, and I see why people like it. I just don't think it's a game for me, and that's fine. Okay, what I love about Silent Hill, besides the puzzles, because the puzzles are fan-fucking-tastic, I do love the atmosphere. I love walking around the small town of Silent Hill. I love the lore of Silent Hill. Like, I like how this town is actually a real town. There's supposed to be people and stuff walking around. It's just the people who are affected by the fog, which is usually outsiders, they don't see the normal people. They see what the town wants you to see, and I think that's kind of interesting. I like the idea of like your deepest fears and all your sort of mental hiccups and all that stuff coming to life in sort of a abstract horror. I think that's actually what's kind of interesting. It's just I don't care a lot about some of the characters' themes that they experience. I don't really care about James. It's like, oh, I killed my wife. Oh, well, that sucks, bud. We've all been there. I'm just joking. We've not all been there. I'm not too crazy about exploring the hospital, and I'm not really too crazy about exploring the apartment buildings. I like exploring like the small shops and stuff. That's more interesting to me. You know, our apartments are okay. The hospital was gross, but yeah, Silent Hill, I'm glad I gave it a shot, because I've really been wanting to get into survival horrors just to see what they're all about, you know, because of Resident Evil. It really inspired me to want to check out some of these games. All right, and let's end this video with our last drawing of Supergirl flying off into the distance, delivering some Domino's pizza. So yeah, I like this art piece because, you know, I'm a fan of the rendering style. I used a more of a cel-shaded rendering style, stuff you would see in like cartoons and some comics. I think all the colors are well presented. The reds are reds, blues are blues. They all do a good job contrasting one another, and yeah, I just feel like it's very pleasant to look at. But yeah, and I really love the idea of Supergirl delivering pizza but like completely fucking it up. You know, like she's doing a horrible job is what I'm saying. Like the pizza box is coming out of the delivery box, therefore she's not gonna get a good tip. I mean, let's be fair, she probably will get a good tip because guys are guys. So yeah, the story behind all of this was I just wanted to create superhero doing normal stuff. I kind of had a series going on in 2023 called Heroes Taking a Break. It displayed heroes doing like just different activities. Well, this one's kind of similar in that idea, but it's more like heroes working normal jobs. Like we have a hero who's not being super heroic, she's just working a normal job, kind of like Spider-Man did with the, you know, in Spider-Man 2 where he delivered pizza. That's kind of what the idea was based off of. I like drawing this cape. I thought this cape was kind of cool to draw. The skirt was fun to draw. You know, I'm trying to get better at incorporating more to look at than just pinup character. You know, I've been wanting to experiment with like kind of like a comic booky panel kind of style illustration, or you have the character, looks like she's popping out of the comic panel, and then you got other panels other things to look at, hence the pizza in the other panel. So that's kind of the idea of what I'm going with when I was creating this. I've been wanting to do more drawings of Supergirl doing sort of normal stuff. I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest Supergirl fan. I like Superman. I don't know too much about Supergirl. Like, I generally don't get what the difference between Power Girl and Supergirl, besides, you know, obvious reasons, but I generally don't get their character difference because I think they're both named Kara. The Supergirl I'm mostly familiar with is the animated series Supergirl, and one of my favorite Batman and Superman comics where Supergirl comes to the planet and, you know, Batman has to sort of help Superman raise her in a weird way. They, you know, it's basically in my opinion, the best Supergirl origin story. It's the one I prefer. It's by, I think, Jeff Loeb wrote it, and it was drawn by the late and great Michael Turner, a really fantastic comic book artist who has done some Tomb Raider comics. Fantastic guy. Sad he passed. But yeah, so Michael Turner, fantastic artist, and yeah, I would say that's probably my favorite Supergirl comic. Even though it's a Batman Superman comic, it's more of a Supergirl comic, if I'm gonna be honest, than a Batman Superman comic. But it's a fucking fantastic comic, and they did a really good job with the animated movie, Superman, Batman, Apocalypse. Really, really good movie. Really great animation. I like how they at least tried to mimic Michael Turner's art style in that movie. So yeah, fantastic movie. But yeah, so yeah, this illustration was fun to do, and it's kind of how I ended the year with a nice, fun Supergirl illustration. And that pretty much wraps up this video, honestly. Not much else to say. I hope this was interesting to watch, and yeah, thank you for watching, by the way. I hope you had some fun. These videos are supposed to be kind of casual, kind of hopefully easy to put together. I hope they kind of show another side of Loon Junk Media, and I hope they show another side of what to expect from Loon Junk Media. I'm hoping to do more illustration portfolio showcases, as they do kind of always link to video games, comics, and whatever media I'm consuming, hence it fits into that loot and junk media. I hope it was interesting. I hope you had some fun watching it. I hope it was casual, and I hope you got to hear some fun tidbits about art, some fun tidbits about some games I think about. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video, which hopefully will be out soon. Bum, 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 bum. See you next year. I mean, wait, no. See you next video. Bye.
What are you doing? But the fact that they kept using it over and over for other pirates.
Selena, what do you do? Okay, bye, Selena.
I thought it was stupid because I actually really like